gut says you killed Agent Young. I'm gonna put you where you belong. I could use your help. Nobody would have to know.
What if I brought you more business? With Noma, you're either in or you're out with a bullet.
The game ain't what it used to be.
The question is, who shot me?
It wasn't me.
That is gonna die.
Now, I think we all know by now when it comes to power, once you solve one problem, another one always appears. So a truce may be called between Tariq and Noma, but it doesn't necessarily mean the war is over. Be ready for a lot of backstabbing which has already begun, chess moves to get operations back in order, and also for Detective Don Carter to really ruffle some feathers. We've also got Monet back up on her feet, locked and loaded in the streets in episode 2. So you do get the feeling there might actually be a very small time jump considering the position she was just in. We've also got Effie making moves, but also no doubt keeping her own self-interest in the back of her mind, which is actually going to be one of the main core themes for episode 2. Now in this trailer breakdown, we're going to be taking a look at all the scenes from the trailer, but also matching them up to some of the scenes from the official trailer and perhaps a clue in regards to Tariq getting his Porsche back from 2-Bit. But let's just take a look at the title and synopsis first. Now the title for episode 2 is To Thine Own Self, and the synopsis reads, Tariq and Brayden struggle to adjust to life as normal college students. Detective Carter sets his sights on Tariq and co. Monet wants back into the game. Noma seeks out an opportunity with the Russians. Now what do they mean by to thine own self? It's a quote from Shakespeare. It means that one should always be true to their principles and who they are. So in relation to where our characters are at this moment in time, where deception and betrayal is pretty common, to thine own self means to be true to your principles and yourself. One of the main key themes I stuck to during my breakdowns for episode 1 was survival, and that also links into episode 2. A lot of these characters, as we all saw from Effie, they always stay true to who they are, because that's how they survive. Another character in question going forward will be Davis, because we all know one thing he loves. Even though he did stay loyal to Tariq, I do feel there is a big question mark because of who he is. So staying true to your principles and survival, that's the key theme and the early vibes I got from the trailer for episode 2. And we are going to come to more examples throughout this breakdown. But first, Carter and Tariq.
I know who you fucking are, and I'm gonna put you where you belong.
Now Carter may be a new character on Ghost, but it doesn't mean he doesn't know who Tariq St Patrick is. Paz came to him at the end of episode 1 to tell him how she just lost Junior, but she also knows he was chasing Tariq. So it is going to be all eyes on Tariq from episode 2, like Michael Rainey Jr. teased before season 4. He will be public enemy number 1, but just how big of a threat will Detective Carter exactly be for Tariq, as well as the rest of the drug organizations in New York?
And so, I'm excited. I don't think anybody can see what I'm about to do. And I can't wait for that to happen. Speculate all you want, but you ain't ready.
So it is pretty safe to say that Detective Don Carter will be a formidable force of law enforcement like no other. Tariq Davis and the rest of the guys on Ghost, they're gonna have a tough time keeping Carter off their backs, because I don't think he's here to accept defeat. Or, having said that, if it's not gonna end well for Carter, will he take a few with him? Now no doubt, Carter's probably had a long conversation with Paz Valdez, whether it's off screen or whether it's something they show us in episode 2. She's gonna break it down for him in terms of exactly who the St. Patricks are, the history and what they've done, from what she knows and from her perspective. We also don't know what Carter knows himself, but he definitely knows about the St. Patricks because he will be telling Tariq in this scene he smells just like his father. Now if there's one way to poke Tariq, it's telling him he's just like Ghost. We've seen countless of others say it since the beginning of Ghost, and one in particular is no longer with us. Tariq also always has something to say in return. We've seen it in the past and we also saw it in 401 with Junior. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Tariq responds to someone telling him he smells just like his father, and he's going to put him where he belongs. Now just sticking with Detective Carter for a moment, we also saw him approaching Davis McLean. In the scene, he tells Davis that he could use his help. There's also an extra scene from one of the teasers where Carter tells him he looks stressed, and that's probably because he is.
You seem stressed.
Davis McLean is a man who was able to pursue his law career because of his brother Theo. He took the rap for a murder he committed. He then spent his entire career trying to find a way to get Theo out, only for him to kill Sachs and then himself. Now not only has he lost his brother, he's on the verge of losing his law license. One of the reasons why Theo went inside for Davis. In Power Book 2 Ghost, power comes in different ways for different people, and with Davis McLean, it's all about his law career, getting that tick in the win column, money, and also surviving. Now we also do have to remember, Davis was approached by Noma, where he turned down the generous offer of 100k. So I personally don't think Davis will be in any mood to accept Carter's offer. He also knows what happens to those who work with law enforcement, and he certainly isn't no snitch. But what he will do is, he's going to try and figure out what Carter knows about Tariq. He's going to try and sniff out exactly what they have on him or anybody else. We're then going to hear him warn Tariq he's not like any other law enforcement he's ever dealt with. And that's a warning shot for Tariq. Do not underestimate Carter. He's going to come for him, everybody that he's working with, and he's not going to hold back. So it's going to be a really interesting chess match between Tariq, Davis, and Detective Carter, and whoever else Carter decides to have in his crosshairs. From the early vibes, you do get the feeling Carter will definitely be a different kind of proposition, one that's fueled by the death of his wife Denise, and now Junior. And that's also another point on Carter. He's still not over the death of Denise, who was killed in a crossfire between two rival drug gangs. So Carter will definitely be one to watch. Now let's move over to the streets. After a truce was called, Noma will want to get back to business. So let's not forget, she's got problems in Milan, and Obi did warn, everything that they have is now here. But losing Tariq and his old operation on Wall Street will be a big loss. A gap that she has to fill with another distro. So we've got Effie telling Noma she can help by meeting with the Russians. She's managed to bring them to the table, but here's where it starts to get slightly interesting. We've got a standoff between the Russians, Noma and Obi, and Monet, where we're going to hear Monet saying this is her city. So it doesn't matter if Kane's telling her that the game isn't what it used to be, and she's way out her league. She's never listened to Kane before, and she's certainly not going to start now. This is the one way she can get control over her kids again. So she thinks. I mean, if we link this back to the episode title and breakdown of the meaning, it wouldn't be Monet sticking to her values and principles if she didn't. From Kane's point of view, he's probably thinking it's his time to shine. It's time to take Lorenzo's place and run the streets, just like he wanted. But what I would say to that is, don't underestimate Monet. She may have been down and out, but she definitely will be back, and she's going to want blood. But we are going to get to that in just a second. Now, in terms of this standoff, I'm sure they're all going to come to a mutual understanding. They need to drop their guns and find a way to work together. They need to find a way where they can all make bread, or none of them will. Noma needs a product moving, the Russians can get back into the game. Monet can also get back into the game by overseeing the Tejada operation. They just need to stick to their own turf and territory, or whatever boundaries they kind of create, which I do expect them to do, or at least for a short period. Now, in the trailer for episode 2, we also hear Effie warning Diana, with Noma, you're either in or you're out with a bullet, which goes back to one of my points I made prior to season 4. Both Drew and Diana wanted out of the street game, they wanted their freedom, but by getting closer to Noma, all they did was manage to get even deeper into the game that they don't even want to be in, and now the only way out is either death or jail. You've also got Diana wearing a uniform where it seems like she's back working at the candy store, but I think it's way too late to go back to any kind of normalcy. Nothing's ever going to be the same again, and she needs to prepare herself for what's coming her way, because Monet is definitely on the hunt.
Question is, who shot me?
It wasn't me.
That motherfucker's gonna die.
Now, just before we come to the conversation between Monet and Tariq, as Tariq approaches Monet, I pause the scene here for a particular reason. Tariq has his Porsche back, something which we knew he would get back based on the official trailer. But if he's approaching Monet in this Porsche, then you would have to assume he's managed to get it back from 2-Bit. Now, I'm not sure about you guys, but 2-Bit doesn't seem like a guy who's just going to kind of hand the keys back. He's just not going to do it. And the way Reek is at the beginning of season 4, anyone in his way could get it. He's on absolute pure smoke. So I did think it was worth mentioning based on this little scene. We may see 2-Bit in episode 2, and we may get the answers as to how Tariq gets his Porsche back. Now with Monet, we do hear Monet saying that motherfucker's gonna die in a conversation with Tariq, but it doesn't necessarily mean Tariq's gonna tell her what Drew and Diana planned. Let's not forget one crucial fact, it was Tasha who shot Monet, but of course, because of the betrayal from Drew and Diana, information that Tariq still holds. And I think he's just gonna kind of bide his time, because he'll want answers for himself before he decides what to do with the info. Now Monet going to Tariq isn't really surprising. He's the only one who hasn't really gone behind her back, or like she said, he's her thinker. So I'm sure she's gonna ask him to try and find out what happened, who and why. And this particular storyline and betrayal, I don't think we're gonna be waiting for too long before Monet finds out. I do think it's gonna come in the first half, because they're not messing around in season 4. Kane's already beginning to ask questions, saying nothing adds up. Monet's already back to her usual self, asking the same questions. So I reckon by episode 5, Monet will definitely know, but the question is, what will she do about it? Now, we all know Drew and Diana are going to be in big trouble at some point, but so will Kane be. We don't exactly know why, but we've got Noma and her bodyguards holding Kane in a stranglehold in episode 2. We don't specifically see it in the trailer, but this scene does match up with what we saw in the official trailer. So maybe she's not happy that Kane wasn't able to take care of a Tariq problem, or maybe she's realized there was a betrayal from her own organization, which was Obi, but doesn't specifically know it's OB at this moment in time, which is why she might be looking at Kane to harder. Those are a couple of reasons why she might be teaching Kane a lesson. So these two scenes definitely do connect a few dots, but let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Let me know how you see this playing out in terms of the streets, Detective Carter versus Tariq, and Monet beginning to ask questions, and why does Nomar have Kane in a stranglehold? Drop all your thoughts down below in the comment section, and as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.